Tom Baker stood at the entrance of Starbase Delta's main cafeteria, clutching his worn leather recipe book to his chest. The massive space station hung like a shining star in the outer rim of the Milky Way, serving as a meeting point for dozens of alien species. As Earth's first culinary ambassador, Tom felt the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. His mission was simple on paper, but complicated in reality. Introduce human cuisine to the galaxy. The automatic doors slid open with a soft hiss, revealing a scene that made his jaw drop. The cafeteria was 3 stories tall, with floating serving platforms moving between levels. Aliens of all shapes and sizes sat at tables that seemed to defy gravity. Some had tentacles, others had multiple heads, and a few seemed to be made entirely of crystals. "You must be the human chef," a voice said behind him. Tom turned to find himself face to face with a tall, blue-skinned alien with 4 arms and silver dots scattered across their face like stars. "I am Chef Blue, head of kitchen operations." Tom extended his hand for a handshake, then quickly pulled it back when he remembered the cultural briefing about alien greetings. "Yes, sir." Tom Baker, Earth's culinary ambassador. Chef Blue's 3 eyes blinked in sequence. "Follow me. Your workspace has been prepared according to Earth specifications, though I must say, cooking with fire seems rather primitive." As they walked through the kitchen, Tom saw alien chefs preparing foods he couldn't begin to describe. One station had what looked like living clouds being bottled, while another featured something that might have been singing opera while it cooked. "Here," Chef Blue gestured to a small corner of the massive kitchen. "Your station." Tom looked at the basic stove, oven, and prep area. It seemed impossibly small compared to the high-tech equipment surrounding it. "Thank you. When can I start?" Before Chef Blue could answer, a green-skinned alien in an official-looking uniform rushed over, waving a tablet. "Stop everything. We must review the safety protocols." Manager Green, as their nameplate read, began scanning Tom with various devices. Human cooking involves extreme temperatures and potentially hazardous chemical reactions. "We must catalog everything." Tom tried not to smile as Manager Green circled him, muttering about combustion-based food preparation and primitive protein degradation techniques. "It's just cooking," Tom said, pulling out a simple frying pan from his kit. "Look, I can show you." "No unauthorized demonstrations." Manager Green's skin turned a lighter shade of green in what Tom assumed was panic. "All new food items must go through the Galactic Food Safety Board. We need at least 17 permits and—" Chef Blue raised all 4 hands. "Green, the human has level 7 diplomatic clearance. The Earth government has already filed the paperwork." Manager Green deflated slightly, their antenna drooping. But the regulations." Tom seized his chance. He pulled out a simple loaf of bread from his bag. "Would anyone like to try some Earth food? It's completely safe. We call it bread." Several nearby alien chefs stopped their work to stare. One of them, a floating orb of purple gas, drifted closer. "Is it true," the orb whispered in a melodic voice, "that humans combine microscopic fungi with plant matter, wait for it to release gas, and then apply extreme heat?" Tom blinked. "Well, when you put it that way, that's basically bread." The kitchen erupted in curious murmurs. Even Manager Green leaned forward slightly, their antenna twitching with interest. Chef Blue picked up the loaf with their lower arms while scanning it with their upper ones. "Fascinating. The structure is complex, and you eat this regularly." "It's one of our most basic foods," Tom said, growing more confident. "Wait until you see what we can put on it." Manager Green quickly pulled out their tablet again. "All potential bread toppings must be registered separately. We'll need forms TR7 through TR19 and—" "Actually," Tom interrupted, reaching into his bag with a smile, "I brought something called butter too." The chaos that followed would become legendary in Starbase Delta's history, marking the beginning of humanity's flavorful invasion of the galactic culinary scene. 3 days after the bread incident, Tom stood in his kitchen corner, organizing small containers of earth spices. Chef Blue floated nearby, all three eyes fixed on the colorful powders with intense curiosity. "These are called spices," Tom explained, holding up a jar of black pepper. "They add flavor to food." "Flavor additives are common across the galaxy," Chef Blue said proudly. "We have nutrition enhancers and taste modulators." Tom shook his head. "No, these are natural. They come from plants." Manager Green, who seemed to appear whenever anything interesting happened, materialized beside them with their ever-present tablet. "Plants? You mean you add unprocessed botanical matter to your food? How very primitive." "Let me demonstrate," Tom said, opening the pepper shaker. He gave it a small shake over his palm, releasing a tiny cloud of black dust. A passing chef with crystal-like skin stopped and pointed their sensory array at the pepper. "Warning, warning, detecting chemical irritant." "That's the point," Tom grinned. "It adds a kick to the food." "You intentionally add irritants to your nutrition." Manager Green's antenna stood straight up in shock. "This must be documented immediately." Before Tom could explain further, a tall purple alien with tentacles for arms reached over and grabbed a bright green paste from Tom's spice collection. "Is this the same as our nutritional supplement paste?" they asked, scooping up a large blob of wasabi. Tom's eyes widened. "Wait, that's wasabi." "It's very too late." The alien shoved the entire scoop into what appeared to be their mouth. For 3 seconds, nothing happened. Then, graaaaaaaak, the alien's color changed from purple to red to blue in rapid succession. All their tentacles went rigid, and they shot up toward the ceiling like a rocket, leaving a trail of sparkles behind them. "Medical emergency." Manager Green screamed into their communicator. "Code green." "No, code red." "No. What's the code for Alien 8 Earth Spice and is now changing colors while floating?" The kitchen erupted into chaos. The floating purple alien began spinning in circles near the ceiling, releasing small puffs of steam from their tentacles. Other alien chefs rushed to help, but stopped short when they saw the alien's reaction. "Is this some form of human weapon?" Chef Blue demanded, pulling their 4 arms close to their body defensively. "No, no," Tom tried to explain. "It's just a condiment. It goes really well with fish." The word fish caused another round of panic as several aquatic-based aliens quickly slithered away from the spice station. The medical team arrived, equipped with what looked like anti-contamination gear. They stared up at the purple alien, who had stopped spinning but was now hiccuping rainbow bubbles. "Fascinating," said the lead medic, who resembled a walking mushroom. "The subject's taste receptors appear to have achieved a higher state of consciousness." The purple alien finally floated down, landing softly on a nearby counter. Their color had returned to normal, but their tentacles were still twitching slightly. That was. They struggled to speak. Then, to everyone's surprise, they broke into what could only be described as a laugh. "Amazing. My taste buds can see through time. I can taste colors. Quick, give me more of the green happiness paste." "No," shouted Tom, Manager Green, and Chef Blue in unison. But it was too late. Other alien chefs had already begun approaching Tom's spice collection with curious expressions. A group of gaseous beings were taking turns sniffing the chili powder. 2 crystalline chefs were arguing about the proper way to analyze curry powder. Even Chef Blue's dots were glowing with interest as they studied a jar of cinnamon. "This is a disaster," Manager Green moaned, frantically typing on their tablet. "We need new safety protocols. New warning signs." New is that being eating raw ginger. Tom watched as his small spice collection caused more and more chaos. In just 10 minutes, the medical bay reported 15 cases of spice enlightenment, 3 instances of temporary species evolution, and one alien who claimed they could now communicate with their ancestors after tasting black pepper. Maybe, Tom said to himself as he watched an alien with 6 heads try to decide which head should taste the paprika first. I should have waited before introducing hot sauce. In his pocket, a bottle of sriracha waited patiently for its turn to shine. A week after the spice incident, Tom proudly set up his new dessert display in the cafeteria. Chocolate chip cookies, brownies, and a large coffee pot sat innocently on the counter. Manager Green had finally stopped twitching at the sight of Earth food, though their antennae still wiggled nervously. "What is this brown liquid?" Chef Blue asked, all 3 eyes focused on the coffee pot. "It smells like energy." "That's coffee," Tom explained. "It's a beverage humans drink for breakfast. And these are desserts, sweet foods we eat after meals." A small group of maintenance workers from the crystal species gathered around. Their faceted bodies sparkled with curiosity as they studied the treats. "Sweet?" one asked. "Like nutrition supplements?" "Better," Tom smiled. "Try a cookie." Manager Green rushed forward with their tablet. "Wait, we need to test for." But the crystal being had already picked up a cookie with their glowing appendage. They touched it to their surface, absorbing it instantly. For a moment, nothing happened. Then they began to glow. Brightly. Very, very brightly. "Oh my stars," they chimed in a musical voice. "I see an the universe." Their crystal companions quickly grabbed cookies too. Within seconds, the entire maintenance crew was glowing like a disco ball, spinning and chiming in harmony. "What's happening?" Chef Blue asked, backing away. "Sugar rush," Tom explained. "It's normal. Well, for humans, it's normal. I didn't expect." "I see an everything," announced the first crystal being. They zoomed off toward the station's maintenance shaft, trailing sparkles. Their glowing friends followed, all singing what sounded like an ancient space shanty. Manager Green's tablet started beeping frantically. "The maintenance crew is. They're repairing everything. All systems are operating at 300% efficiency, but they're doing it by dancing." Meanwhile, a group of gaseous aliens had discovered the coffee. They absorbed the liquid through their cloudy forms, turning from pale blue to a deep, vibrant purple. "This is," one of them pulsed, "amazing. I can perceive all wavelengths of light simultaneously." The gaseous beings began zipping around the cafeteria at high speed, leaving trails of sparkly caffeine-charged vapor behind them. Some started speaking in what sounded like fast-forward, while others vibrated so quickly they temporarily phased through walls. "The physics department is detecting unusual energy readings," Manager Green announced, their green skin turning pale. "And why is the gravity acting strange?" As if on cue, everything in the cafeteria began to float. The hypercharged maintenance crew had apparently modified the gravity systems while in their sugar-fueled repair frenzy. "We," cheered a floating blob alien who had just discovered brownies. "I can taste chocolate in 5 dimensions." Chef Blue, trying to maintain order, used their 4 arms to paddle through the air. Everyone remained calm. This is. They paused, looking at a floating chocolate chip cookie that drifted past. With careful precision, they grabbed it and took a bite. Their silver dots immediately began to swirl like tiny galaxies. "By the cosmic winds, this is delightful." Tom watched from his serving station, which he had thankfully bolted to the floor after the spice incident. Above him, aliens of all species were floating around, experiencing their first sugar and caffeine rush. The crystal maintenance crew had now reprogrammed the station's lights to pulse in time with their sugar-induced songs. The gaseous aliens were forming intricate fractal patterns in the air, claiming they could see the mathematical structure of happiness. Manager Green floated past, still clutching their tablet. "Must document everything. But why does the report keep changing colors? And why can I smell numbers?" Maybe I should have started with sugar-free options, Tom muttered to himself, ducking as a particularly enthusiastic alien zoomed past, trailing cookie crumbs and singing what sounded like all of Earth's top 40 hits simultaneously. In the distance, the station's AI announced in a confused voice, "Warning, unknown party occurring in all sectors. Productivity increased by 500%. Station efficiency at maximum. Also, does anyone else feel like dancing?" Tom looked at his next planned menu item, energy drinks, and quietly slid them back into his storage unit. Some things could wait for another day. After the sugar and caffeine excitement settled down, and the maintenance crew finally stopped improving everything, Tom decided to introduce something he thought would be safer: fermented foods. He arranged neat bowls of yogurt, kimchi, and pickles on his counter. "These are fermented foods," Tom explained to Chef Blue, who was inspecting the dishes with all three eyes. "Bacteria help make them." Manager Green, who was still documenting the last sugar-related repair improvements, dropped their tablet. "You intentionally let microscopic life forms process your food. It's perfectly safe," Tom assured them. "Humans have been eating fermented foods for thousands of years." A group of blob-like aliens oozed closer to investigate. Their transparent bodies rippled with curiosity as they studied the foods. "We also use microorganisms," one blob said proudly, "but only for spacecraft cleaning." Before Tom could stop them, 3 blobs each absorbed a different fermented food. The first took in yogurt, the second grabbed kimchi, and the third slurped up some pickles. For a moment, everything seemed fine. Then the blobs started to glow. I can hear your thoughts," the yogurt blob suddenly announced. "I can see your dreams," the kimchi blob wobbled excitedly. "I can feel the station's emotions." The pickle blob expanded and contracted rapidly. Manager Green's antenna went straight up. "Oh no, not again." But it was too late. Other aliens, seeing the blob's reaction, rushed to try the fermented foods. Soon, the cafeteria was filled with various species experiencing unexpected telepathic abilities. "The good bacteria are communicating with our cellular structure," a crystal being chimed after tasting some kimchi. "They're teaching our crystals new vibration patterns." The station's translation system suddenly started smoking, overwhelmed by the sudden burst of telepathic communications. The usual universal translator voice was replaced by what sounded like a choir of singing vegetables. "Attention, all beings," the station AI announced in what somehow sounded like pickle juice. "Translator malfunction. Switching to backup systems." The backup system wasn't much better. Now everything everyone said came out as different food descriptions. "Sweet pixie kale," Manager Green shouted in panic, but the translator made it sound like wobbling jello. Chef Blue tried to restore order, all 4 arms waving. "Everyone remain calm." But the translator converted it to dancing sauerkraut. Tom watched as his fermented foods caused more and more chaos. A group of gaseous aliens who had tried the yogurt were now floating in formation, claiming they could transmit their thoughts through interpretive dance. The crystal maintenance crew, still slightly hyper from last week's sugar rush, tried some kimchi and began harmonizing with the station's background hum. "The probiotics are achieving consciousness," someone shouted, though the translator made it sound like, "The happy newish aromas are having a party." Manager Green floated past, their skin now showing swirling patterns. "Must document, but all my reports keep turning into recipe books." Their tablet was displaying what looked like a cookbook written in binary code. The station's chief medical officer, who resembled a walking tree, burst into the cafeteria. "These readings are impossible. The fermented foods are creating a temporary hive mind. Also, does anyone know why I can suddenly understand what the coffee machine is thinking?" Tom watched as the chaos spread. The blob aliens had formed a telepathic circus, performing synchronized floating while singing what they claimed was the universal song of pickled cabbage. A group of crystal beings had arranged themselves into a living radio telescope, saying they could now receive signals from the bacteria in yogurt cups across the galaxy. Maybe, Tom said to himself, watching as Manager Green tried to file a report that kept transforming into a dance routine. I should have waited before introducing kombucha. In his cooler, a jar of kombucha tea sat quietly, its bacteria plotting their own special form of chaos for another day. The station AI made one final announcement, though now it sounded like a salad telling jokes. Warning. Temporary telepathy. In all is EC2Rs. Also, did anyone else know the PCKLES heavy and sense of humor? 2 days after the fermented food telepathy incident finally wore off, Tom prepared for what he thought would be a simple presentation. On his counter sat several types of earth cheese, cheddar, mozzarella, blue cheese, and a fancy brie. This, Tom announced to the gathered aliens, is cheese. What is this? Cheese? Asked Chef Blue, their dots swirling with curiosity. Well, it's made from milk that way, Tom started. Milk? Interrupted a crystal being. You mean infant nutrition fluid? Yes, but we let it age end. You deliberate ag NFANT in utilitarian fluid. Manager Green's antenna nearly tied themselves in knots. Their tablet started smoking at the very idea. Before Tom could explain further, a small floating alien with an extremely sensitive nose drifted near the cheese display. They took one sniff and immediately shot backward, bouncing off 3 walls. Great Koas and Ike Waves, they shouted. I can smell it from here to the next galaxy. The station's ventilation system suddenly kicked into emergency mode. Red lights started flashing. Warning, announced the station eye. Unknown aromatic substance, DTECTED in cafeteria. Attempting to compensate. The smell of the cheese, particularly the blue cheese, had already spread through the station's air vents. Aliens with enhanced smell receptors on the floors above and below began to react. It smells like, I don't even have words for this, shouted someone 3 decks up. Is this a new form of space warfare? Asked another from 2 decks down. Manager Green was frantically trying to contact station security. Code yellow. No. Code blue. No. What's the code for human food is attacking our noses? Chef Blue, being braver than most, picked up a piece of cheddar with their upper right hand. They scanned it with their 3 eyes. You say humans eat this, voluntarily. It's actually quite popular on Earth, Tom explained. This one's mild compared to. Mild, chorused several aliens who were now pressing themselves against the far wall. A blob alien, remembering their bravery during the fermented food incident, oozed forward and absorbed a small piece of brie. Their transparent body immediately turned several interesting colors. It's, I can't describe it. The blob started forming small cheese-shaped patterns across their surface. The station's chief science officer, who looked like a walking collection of tentacles and sensors, burst into the cafeteria. We're picking up unprecedented readings. The chemical composition is unlike anything is that moldy on that one? They pointed a trembling tentacle at the blue cheese. Yes, that's what makes it blue cheese, Tom said proudly. The mold gives it a special flavor. The cafeteria went silent. Even the ventilation system seemed to pause in shock. You eat mold. Manager Green's tablet clattered to the floor. Intentionally. Technically, it's a safe, cultured mold fat, Tom tried to explain. Attention all personnel. The station AI interrupted. Human food subsistence, cheese, It is BENTENPORARILYC classified as a biological curiosity. Also, please note that several species are developing sense organs to cope with this smell. Indeed, some of the aliens were sprouting new sensory appendages specifically to process the cheese aromas. A group of gaseous beings had formed themselves into a cheese appreciation society and were debating the philosophical implications of aged dairy products. "This changes everything we know about human biology," announced the science officer, who was now scanning the cheese with 7 different devices. "How can your species consume something that smells strong enough to recalibrate our sensors?" Tom watched as his cheese display continued to cause unprecedented chaos. The crystal maintenance crew, still slightly telepathic from the fermented foods, claimed they could hear the cheese singing ancient earth songs. The blob who had tried the bray was now giving lectures on the spiritual significance of dairy products. In his cooler, a sealed container of extra-aged Limburger cheese waited patiently, ready to challenge alien sensory systems another day. "Maybe," Tom muttered as he watched Manager Green try to classify cheese as both a food and a potential communications device. "I should have started with string cheese." After the cheese incident, and after 3 different species developed new organs just to appreciate Parmesan, Tom decided to introduce something he thought would be less dramatic: umami flavors. He set up several dishes featuring MSG, soy sauce, and other umami-rich foods. "Today we're exploring umami," Tom announced to the gathered aliens. "It's the 5th taste humans can experience." Chef Blue's dots sparkled with interest. 5th taste. "Our study showed humans only had 4 taste sensations." "That's what we thought too, until we discovered umami," Tom said, arranging small samples of mushroom soup and tomato dishes. "It's sort of a savory, meaty flavor." Manager Green, who had finally repaired their tablet after the cheese incident, started recording. "A hidden taste sensation. Impossible." A floating crystal being approached the counter. After the sugar rush incident, they had appointed themselves the station's unofficial food taster. "I volunteer to analyze this umami." Tom handed them a small spoon of mushroom soup. The crystal being absorbed it through their surface. Suddenly, they began to shine with a new, previously unseen color. I can taste everything," they chimed. "My taste receptors are evolving." Before anyone could react, the crystal being started projecting a holographic display of their taste experience. The cafeteria walls lit up with swirling patterns of flavor that no one had ever seen before. "Fascinating." The station's science officer burst in, their tentacles waving excitedly. "They're perceiving an entirely new spectrum of taste." Other aliens rushed forward to try the umami-rich foods. A group of gaseous beings absorbed some soy sauce and immediately formed themselves into complex molecular structures. "We understand now." They pulsed in unison. "The secret of flavor lies in the 5th dimension." Manager Green watched in horror as more and more aliens began experiencing taste evolution. "This can't be happening." The paperwork for new sensory developments is already 3 weeks behind. Chef Blue, ever curious, tried a bite of Tom's tomato dish. All 3 of their eyes widened at once, and their silver dots began dancing in complicated patterns. "This changes everything we know about cooking," they declared, all 4 arms reaching for ingredients. "Quick, we must experiment." The kitchen erupted into creative chaos as Chef Blue and other alien cooks began attempting to incorporate umami into their traditional dishes. The results were interesting. "My levitating nutrient spheres now have depth," one cook exclaimed. "My plasma pudding has achieved consciousness," shouted another. The station's AI seemed confused. "Warning. DETTCANG UNPRECDENTDLEVs of flavor appreciation. Also, why do I SUDDNLO UNDERSTAND the equivalence of deliciousness?" Tom watched as his introduction to umami sparked a culinary revolution. The Crystal maintenance crew, their bodies still showing new colors from the taste experience, began designing more efficient kitchen equipment. The gaseous beings had started a flavor theory study group in the corner. "The umami is speaking to us," announced a blob alien who had just tried some MSG. "It's revealing the universal equations of taste." Manager Green floated past, their antenna tied in new knots. "Must document everything. But how do I file a report on flavors that didn't exist until today?" The station's medical bay reported a surge in cases of spontaneous taste bud evolution and flavor-induced enlightenment. 3 species developed new sensory organs specifically designed to appreciate umami, and 1 species of crystalline aliens claimed they could now communicate through taste waves. "This is beyond science," declared the chief science officer, who was now covered in sensors trying to measure the new taste phenomena. "We need to create an entire new field of study. We'll call it human flavor dynamics." Tom watched as his simple introduction to umami transformed into a station-wide revolution in taste. In the kitchen, Chef Blue had already created 30 new dishes incorporating the 5th taste, each one more impossible than the last. "Maybe," Tom mused as he watched a group of aliens establish the first Galactic Institute of Umami Studies, "I should wait a bit before introducing hot pot." In his recipe book, the hot pot instructions waited patiently, ready to introduce yet another dimension of human culinary chaos to the unsuspecting galaxy. 3 months after Tom first arrived at Starbase Delta, the cafeteria had become the most famous dining spot in the galaxy. Today was special. The Galactic Council's Food Committee was visiting to evaluate Earth's culinary contribution to space society. "Everything must be perfect," Manager Green announced, their antenna twitching nervously. Their tablet now had 3 backup screens just to handle all the food-related incidents. Tom stood proudly at his now expanded cooking station. Chef Blue worked beside him, their 4 arms moving gracefully as they combined Earth techniques with alien cuisine. "Remember when you called Earth food primitive?" Tom asked with a smile. Chef Blue's dots swirled in embarrassment. "That was before I understood the power of your spices, the mystery of your cheese, and the wisdom of your umami." The Galactic Council members floated in, a mix of various species, each more impressive than the last. They had heard stories about Earth food, but nothing prepared them for what they saw. The cafeteria had transformed. Crystal beings served as living light displays, their bodies still glowing with new colors discovered during the umami incident. Gaseous aliens formed floating flavor guide signs, their bodies spelling out menu items in multiple languages. "Welcome to Earth Corner," Tom announced. "We've prepared a special menu today." The first course was a simple bread and butter, the same items that had started it all. A council member who looked like a floating diamond took a bite. "Incredible," they chimed. "The simple combination of wheat and fermentation. Why didn't we think of this?" Next came a spiced soup. The council members' various sensory organs lit up with excitement. Some grew new taste buds on the spot, while others temporarily changed colors. "The spice, it dances on our receptors," declared a council elder who resembled a wise old cloud. The maintenance crew, now famous for their sugar-enhanced repair skills, demonstrated how Earth's coffee and cookies had improved station efficiency by 500%. They performed a synchronized repair dance that left the station's systems running better than new. "And watch this," Chef Blue said proudly, presenting their latest creation, a fusion dish combining alien plasma fruits with Earth's cheese and umami flavors. The blob aliens who had first discovered cheese's spiritual properties formed a floating core, singing what they called the Ballad of Cheddar's Wisdom. Even Manager Green had embraced the chaos. Their filing system now included categories like flavor-induced evolution and temporary spice enlightenment. In just 3 months, the station's science officer reported, waving excited tentacles, "We've documented 57 new sensory organs, 38 evolved taste capacities, and 12 entirely new fields of flavor science. The council members sampled everything, their bodies showing signs of all the now familiar reactions. Temporary telepathy from fermented foods, spiritual enlightenment from cheese, dimensional awareness from umami, and enhanced abilities from spices. Finally, the head of the council, a being made of pure energy, spoke. "We have reached a decision. Earth's cuisine is hereby classified as a galactic cultural treasure. Furthermore, we are establishing the first Galactic Culinary Academy, with Tom Baker as its head instructor." The cafeteria erupted in cheers. Crystal beings chimed in harmony, gaseous aliens formed celebratory patterns, and the blob aliens performed their famous cheese dance. Additionally, the council had continued. "This station will become the center for human-alien culinary studies. We have much to learn from Earth's food wisdom." Tom looked around at what his simple cooking had created. Chef Blue was teaching alien cooks how to properly use pepper. The maintenance crew was installing special cheese aging chambers. The science team was establishing a new department of flavor physics. "Just wait until they try ice cream," Tom whispered to himself. Manager Green overheard him, and their antenna shot straight up. "Ice cream? Is that like frozen cheese?" "No," Tom grinned. "It's better." The station AI made one final announcement. "ATENT Lion all BINGs. Preparing NELUCATGOROD for future food incidents. Also, this UNIT AA's DVE low peaked taste debuts. Requesting PRMISSION to Sam Peel Pizza." And so, Earth's first culinary ambassador had succeeded beyond anyone's wildest dreams, proving that sometimes the best way to unite the galaxy was through its stomach, even if that stomach occasionally developed new dimensions to handle cheese.